Hey, what's up, guys and gals? This is Chris with the Boddam/Radical Life channel, and we are doing a little live show discussing or actually giving you all the tips for the unlocking the 5 pillars of health. Now, I know that a lot of people the year has turned, and in 2026, a lot of people have been making some big promises to themselves, and a lot of times, when it comes down to just the simplicity of everything, people just want to feel really, really good at the end of the day. And so they make themselves promises like, I'm going to lose X amount of pounds, or I'm going to diet until I get there and do this, or I'm going to join a gym. I'm going to get on a workout program. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do 10K steps a day. I'm going to, call a distant friend once a week. I'm going to touch base with my family more. We do a lot of things in the beginning of the year, and oftentimes if we wait till the beginning of the year, while it's, a change is good at any time of the year, but while we wait for something like the beginning to get this humongous impetus or energy to do something great for ourselves, the truth is we should be doing it all the time for ourselves, if you think about it. So when we talk about the 5 pillars today on this show, I want you to look at it in a sense of this is something that every person needs to be doing all the time. Okay. And once you do these pillars, or once you practice the pillars, and once you actually put emphasis on not just, let's say, working out or just like one diet thing, and cleaning up your diet, once you look at the pillars and understand the pillars for what they are, you start to realize you can make, or you do make, significant change. So that's what this show is about, and we're going to be discussing the 5 pillars and how you can kind of unlock that to start getting some better health in your life. Now, a little bit about me. I've been dealing with physical fitness, and for the past, I don't know, 30 years or so. I mean, it's been a while. I started working out when I was in high school, in my bedroom with a crappy little weight set. In fact, my story is kind of interesting in the sense that it starts with one 15-pound dumbbell. And then this is not something for like a TED Talk, and it sounds great, but this is the truth. We went to like a thing called a Sports Town back in Houston, Texas, which was like kind of close to Katy and Memorial Mall, I guess, at that time. It's obviously closed by now. And my dad, when I was around, I don't know, 14 years old, kind of looked at me one day. He was like, I think you're ready to work out, And we went to the little Sports Town place, and we got one 15-pound dumbbell. He was like, I'll buy you this. And I was like, well, what about the other one? He was like, no, just one 15-pound dumbbell. You'll be good to go. Now, little did I know that, decades and decades later, it would spawn this great love for fitness, and more so in the past, let's say 5 and 10 years, really a celebration of what lifestyle really is. And the only way you get a really good lifestyle out there is by focusing on pillars that really matter. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the 5 most important pillars that I consider like this is it. And we stand by that with my business partner with Radical Life. Like, we have formulated a company to where, we want to teach the 5 pillars to all the people out there. And before we get to the very end of the show, I'll also let you know now that while you listen to the content, if you let me bring up the actual comment screen here. I just realized like the comments aren't even up there. Let me go. All right, what's up, OGC37? Oh, that's Oliver, I think. I know who you are. Good to see you. There's also, if there's a live thing on the screen, it says live. You can ask me a question while we go through these pillars, and I'll give you a bird's eye view of what the pillars are, okay? But the pillars are really important. If you want to change your life, like, don't ever just look into like one thing. You want to look at it as a concentrated attack on 5 different things, right? 5 different things that will carve out an amazing lifestyle for you in the end. So that's what the show is going to be about. We're going to go bird's eye view into those 5 pillars. And then at the end of the show, I'll have a link if you're interested in joining me and my business partner in the beta test of a program called the Radical 50 program. It's a 50-day challenge to really practice the pillars on a weekly basis for 50 days. So I'm probably going to go back and do it again. I did it in the 4th quarter of last year. I wrapped it up in like mid-December, but I'm going to do it again, and I'll do it in a private Facebook group alongside, some beta tests or some people that are there that are lucky enough to be on the beta test program. And that link will come out later in the show if you're interested, once you hear about the pillars and the organization of the Radical 50 challenge and everything like that. But let's start off really with Pillar number one. Hey, what's up, TJ Keller? If you're tuning in, by the way, you can say what's up. If we're on a subject of one of these pillars and you have something to say, or maybe you want some more clarification on something, then you can just ask that question live if you see it live on the show. Also, you can also ask the question later when it's not a live show, and I'm likely to get to it. I'm likely to get to it within a week. Okay, so I always like to look at my comments on YouTube, whether it's from the fitness channel or my other channel, and I always I swear by these pillars. These are the pillars I've lived my life by, and when I help people, achieve more vibrancy in their life or change things in their life, it's never a single approach to one thing. What I've realized with working with people, that it's almost always coming down to like a lack of emphasis on some of the pillars, for sure. So let's start with pillar number one. And that is basically the pillar that is mental fortitude, right? And the mental fortitude pillar is kind of interesting, and it's a very big pillar. But when we go to number one, it's really like setting the tone of your day by controlling your morning, right? If you listen to all the health greats and all the people that are the biggest visionaries, they're always going to control their morning, right? And you might be like, well, why the night? Well, the days happen. Like, why do you care about the night so much? The night should be reserved for like prepping for sleep. Honestly, right? But the morning is kind of there at your disposal. It's there for the taking. And most mornings for people that are out there start with agendas that are not even your own, right? You pick up your phone, start getting on reels and wonder what happened on the Grammys and like all this dumb stuff that actually, when you whittle it down to like a base amount of knowledge, it's stuff that you don't really truly care about. And it's stuff that you really don't need to know about. You can't take any action on it. It's just worthless garbage, that most people start their mornings with, basically due to this thing right here, right? The cell phone. So this is kind of like a garbage synopsis machine, right? But if you use it the right way, it can be an amazing morning routine machine as well. When we look at the first pillar, which is mental fortitude, you want to start your morning on your own terms, all right? And you want to focus at least the first 30 minutes to about 90 minutes on yourself. This is really important. From there, you can get massive amounts of clarity to kind of see your day replay in front of you and go, not replay, but you can kind of see your day unfold in front of you. You kind of know the big things you have to take care of, and you know the distractions that are coming your way. But in those first 30 to 90 minutes, assuming you've had really good sleep, there's kind of like a download that happens at night, and there's a big kind of readiness that you are ready to kind of conquer the day. If you start your day conquering stupid things, you're going to have a day that is just going to run awry, right? ARWY. So it's going to just run wacky, right? And then you're going to find yourself kind of scrambling, taking shorter breaths. You're going to feel like you're not accomplishing things that that you really care about, that you can do and you're capable of, but you just don't accomplish them because time runs out. Barbara is chiming in. Are you going to put out a book on this? Well, it's actually bigger than that, Barbara. And it's good to see you in here, by the way. And we have actually a 50-day challenge that's going to be available for people that want to join and practice the pillars alongside me and my business partner when we do it weekly as well. This is going to be held in a private Facebook group. But let me get to the other pillars first, and let's get to the first. Let's make sure we iron out the first pillar so you kind of understand how mental fortitude is really one of the most important things you can start your day with. And really, when it comes down to it, it's just starting your day on your own terms, controlling your day, control your destiny, right? So when you wake up in the morning, it's really important. Even experts will say, in order to not spike your cortisol, like don't have caffeine first thing in the morning, right? Don't have your coffee until about 90 minutes afterwards. So it's something that's kind of hard for some people. It's hard for myself too. But, when I really start honing in on like, I really want my mornings to be good. I want to, crack into this next level of 2026 for myself in different ways than, let's say, other people. But for me, it's like I want to accomplish a lot of things, and it requires a lot of batching, content creation. And I have to be able to kind of set myself and have my mind ready for that, and instead of just starting my own morning on someone else's terms and other people's agendas. And then all of a sudden it just seems like everything's a priority and I don't get anything really truly accomplished at the end of the day. Outside of just like, work out some cardio, like I play with my dogs, I do some other business things, but it's like, how do I, if you really want to move that thing forward in your life, whatever that thing is, it's going to take a significant amount of attention, repetition, and then it becomes a habit, and then you're good. So I've been blessed in a way to find out about physical fitness early in life, right? I've been blessed in a way to learn about the value of, energy and good foods. I've been blessed in a way to learn that no matter how hard you practice, like, life will be tough and it'll give you curveballs. And there's just a lot of, if life has value because it has a lot of obstacles in the way to achieve great things, whether it's a physique, love interest, financial stuff, those are really big hurdles for most people. And anything worth anything is going to take some work, right? So you want to control your morning. Like, what does a controllable morning kind of look like? If you're going to spend 30 to 60 or even 90 minutes doing something, like, what should you be doing, right? It might be your natural question. And that answer would be, you have to have some kind of like routine, right? So back in 2020 and 2021, I built this routine called the Blueprint. And it's an amazing routine that took me on average about 37 minutes to about 43 minutes in the morning to achieve and do. And that morning routine was, it was gratitude, meditation, breathing exercise, mission statement, affirmations, and what else was it? It was visualizing my day. So, like, those were really big things that, like, moved my needle forward. But it took a lot of time, and that was okay. I actually had a lot of time in that part of my life. Like, now, I have less time, I would say it that way, right? I have more things I want to achieve. So my mornings are particularly extremely very valuable. So what does a routine look like for most people that are busy? You might have kids, you might have pets, you might have obligations, a 9 to 5, you might have, all kinds of things. Some sort of routine is kind of what you need. And it's going to be the first thing you do before you really even start rifling through reels or getting back to emails. Nothing is that important in the morning. The most important thing in the morning is going to be yourself, any way you look at it. So you definitely want to get some sort of stretching in there, some meditation, and some breathing exercises. All this stuff is in Radical 50 in the program. So when I drop the link later on, there'll be 10 spots for the beta program. I think we've already smoked up 3 of those spots. So, like, maybe 7 spots left. You're definitely going to want to, if you want to have a helping hand through the program as you experiment with it, we'll be there with you by your side. So yeah, stretch, meditate, breathing exercises. I think at a base minimum, those 3 things, a little bit of stretching, definitely about, I would say 5 to 10 minutes of meditation, although I think 10 minutes is better. Breathing exercises, about 5 minutes. Something as simple as a Camuso Shift necklace right here can help you do a lot of great breathing. But I also like doing breathing off of YouTube, like Wim Hof style. Breathe with Sandy is a really good channel too, that I like. And there's a lot of, 10-minute breathing exercises videos that'll really change your life over there. And then obviously, if you can get to this part, getting some high quality water in you with a pinch of salt and a little bit of lemon is great. And then definitely orienting your eyes towards the direction of the sun, right, will help your circadian genes regulate correctly. And the genes that need to be turned off need to turn off at a certain time, and the other ones need to, come on at a certain time. And so basically, you can do the morning routine in the direction of the sun. You can do it outside on a park bench. You can do it, in your front yard, backyard. You can do it inside your house. Although you kind of want to make sure that your eyes are kind of outside, because there could be blocking things like UV blocking things on windows and whatever. So, but setting the tone of your day is going to all come down to controlling your morning, any way you look at it. So pillar number 1 is going to be mental fortitude. And it goes much deeper than that, but I promised on this show we were going to be doing a bird's eye view of everything. So that way you can kind of pique your interest and go, okay, I want to learn more, right? And I have a link for you at the end. And that'll definitely be a link to sign up if you want to join that thing. Costs nothing, by the way. It's going to be a free program. You can check it out and you can beta test it. Behind the scenes, I've already done, when I did a full Radical 50, I did it for an entire year, right? In 2020, an entire year of my life. I did the exact same morning routine for about 37 to 43 minutes in the morning. Absolutely changed my life, right? And then I whittled it down to like a maintenance kind of thing. And that's where I am now. But the main program is called Blueprint. I already have it built out. It's in the background. I just never really issued it as a program. But it's going to be part of the Radical Life, like, other group later. Not the Radical 50 group, but the other group. So a bigger, better morning routine, basically. But the Radical 50 program has a detuned morning routine that'll really help you get started with controlling your morning. Number 2, the pillar, is going to be, you want to incorporate movement, right? So, and for most people, this is going to look like a strength building kind of workout. The studies are, for the past 5-10 years, it doesn't matter who you listen to, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, Found My Fitness, Rhonda Patrick, Gary Brecka, the Ultimate Human, Joe Rogan, like all these people, fitness fanatics, Peter Tia, like all these people are absolute fitness fanatics, and they're people that are in their 30s to 50s living extremely vibrant lives and creating content. And they got teams of people, creating content with them. They're doing podcasts, and they're pretty spread thin. But the one thing that they never skimp out on is a good, solid workout. 3 to 4 times a week. If you're how should I say it? I think that's as much as it kind of requires. If you want to be addicted to the gym for 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, I mean, whatever. But at the end of the day, you really only need about 3 to 4 strength building workouts to really help your bone density, to like properly regulate your body when it comes to like insulin. I mean, there's just so much, and it just is great to go through life strong. Like any way you look at it, most people, when they get not strong, you can get really messed up with doing something very basic like bending over and tying your shoes, right? Or kicking around a soccer ball with your kiddos, or standing up too fast, and all of a sudden you're all dizzy and weird. And so, incorporating movement and getting resilient is really what pillar number 2 is, and that is basically strength building workouts. You want to get under the bar. You want to get, some dumbbells, some cable machines. You want to join a gym, preferably, or build a gym in your house. And you want to be lifting for strength. You want to get strong. I'm not talking about building muscle like Arnold Schwarzenegger or getting crazy big like a American Gladiator or a WWF person, but you definitely want to be strong to handle life, because as it stands, most of, risks later for people that are 40 plus are going to come in the form of falls, right? Just falling down. So when you fall down, and certain groups of, let's say, women that fall down like after 45 years old, and you haven't been strength training, and let's say you take a fall, there's like a 65% chance of like dying within 1 year, because your body is just not resilient enough to handle, the next thing. So really important to get strong. And obviously that leads to a significant amount of vibrancy too, right? Because you are trained for life. You can do things. You can carry more bags from the grocery store, from your, SUV to your home. You can do a lot more things. You can hike with a backpack on that has 10 or 20 pounds in it. You can go on vacation and do great things. You can move your body in different planes of motion, and, you're okay. Someone goes, hey, you want to try surfing with me? You can actually do that, and you won't get messed up. So like, it's important to be strong. It really is. And that comes in the form of physical fitness workouts, strength loading kind of exercises on your bones. And it's also a great benefit to get aesthetically pleasing. Like your physique starts changing, curves start coming in. And for guys, it's like you get broader shoulders, tapered waist. You feel good, your facial, fat maybe like might start going away. You start feeling better about yourself. There's just nothing you can't argue that is not an absolute win to wake up every day, seize your morning, and then you're just like, yeah, I'm strong enough to handle this day. This is great. Or my vacation is going to be awesome because I can do all these great things. I don't have to do mundane, boring things. I can do great things. I can explore. I can do cool things. So number 2 is important to incorporate movement. Number 3, and this is just a really interesting one, and everyone should know this by now, but this is the thing, just because you know it doesn't mean you do it, right? Gary Vaynerchuk, right? The social media star guy that has VaynerMedia and everything. Most people know who that is, but he basically said that when it comes to divulging knowledge, he's like, I divulge everything to you guys, everything, because I already know 99% of you guys won't do anything about it. But it's super good information. Everyone, saves it, they flag it, they rewatch it, and like 1% of people do anything about it because I don't know why. He's just like, people are inherently very lazy, and they like their own circles that they've built and their habits in their life, and they don't really want to venture outside of those things because it feels weird, it feels strange, paradigm shift, and it's also kind of like admitting that you're kind of lying to yourself, really, at the end of the day, right? So when we go to number 3 in the pillar is basically whole food diet. Obviously, eating healthy is super important to weight control, being resistant to all sorts of, cardiovascular issues and diabetes and all that. Obviously, eating a whole food diet is going to be at the core of that. Whether you're a vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, carnivore, Mediterranean diet lover, like whatever. At the end of the day, if you are eating whole foods, then the sign that you're doing it right usually is that you're chopping and you're preparing your meals. You're chopping on a chopping block, you're chopping things, or you might be slicing chicken, or you're opening up a grill and you're putting things on it. You're baking things, you're concocting things with spices and paprika, and you're making things. That's the sign that you're probably on your way to doing it right. Now, whole food diet obviously means foods that have very minimal processing and that aren't really Maybe you find them from farmers markets, or it's like a single ingredient kind of food. So like tomorrow, for example, I'm going to be building a chicken thigh like crock pot recipe in my 7-quart crock pot. I'm going to put 3.25 pounds of chicken thighs in there, like, you know, a tablespoon of a teaspoon of dill, like a tablespoon of garlic powder, half teaspoon or a teaspoon of onion powder, some paprika, some chicken broth. What else am I putting in this thing? Towards the end of the cook, I'm going to be putting some non-fat Greek yogurt in there to keep the creaminess kind of style to it. That way it kind of tricks your brain like, oh, I'm eating some cheesy stuff, but you're really not. And I'm assembling this stuff, right? Single ingredient, you know, chicken thighs, cool. Single ingredient paprika, onion powder, garlic powder. We have dill, right? Dillweed. So I'm assembling all this kind of stuff. There's no mystery oils in there, anything weird. And when I'm eating it, it's like I'm probably going to eat it on a piece of sourdough, which has like 3 ingredients, or I'm going to eat it with some black beans or some pinto beans or a sweet potato, then some grass-fed butter on top, perhaps. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm assembling these meals, right? I know exactly what goes into it. Now, I could be lazy, and I could be like, I don't have time for that. And I could just go to Chipotle, and I can get a meal. Chipotle is healthy, right? You know, it says like grilled chicken, and it has like all this. I mean, honestly, it really isn't, right? Like unbelievable amounts of sodium. They're using all the inflammatory, crazy oils that you shouldn't be using, but they're using it because they have to cook in mass and make it palatable and make it good. And everything's greased out. And you might notice by at the end of Chipotle meal, if you have, you know, sour cream, guacamole, and everything, not only are you spending a ton of money, but your body is kind of like it doesn't feel that great. But in the moment of eating it, it feels good, right? Because everything just, you know, hits on your taste buds, and that's just what fast, healthy food does to you. Now, real healthy food, what it does to you is kind of surprising, right? If you concoct your own meals and you're on the chopping block and you're making your own meals, you feel fuller faster, you eat less, you're eating for power, and you're eating for this like amazing kind of like thing you're building, right? This physique, this like mental state. You don't get bogged down with brain fog. You feel good. If you have, let's say, a bigger cardio session that day, or like you're going to do something the next morning that, you know, a big morning walk with like a vest, or maybe you're going to go on a hike, it's like, okay, you know, some more carbs like the night before, really important. But, you know, we're not sitting there putting in French fries or mashed potatoes or anything stupid like that. We're putting in single ingredient kind of foods and some spices, and that's great. So a whole food diet is really important. That is pillar number 3, will be diet, and specifically a whole food diet. I'm not saying go to Whole Foods and just buy anything in Whole Foods and you'll be good, because that's actually false. Because 95% of the stuff in Whole Foods is pretty junky, but 5% of it is pretty good. So if it helps you bridge between, let's say, a farmer's market or something, that's usually what I go to Whole Foods for, is to bridge between some things. And every now and then it's to get like some Netflix snacks or something like that has avocado oil and minimal ingredients. And like, okay, if that's my weak point, honestly, by the time I paint the picture of what the other pillars are, and you realize like, man, his weak point is just like some pretty healthy snacks, like it's a pretty good weak point to have, right? I have no pains. I have no chronic pains. I feel good. Resting heart rate is amazing. You know, I have a lot of things measured by the Oura Ring. My sleep is good. My readiness score is good. My sleep debt is 0. Like I feel amazing. Like I can tackle the day, right? But it's extremely easy in someone even in my status to have a day run away from me. So yeah, a whole food diet, pillar number 3. You definitely want to be cooking your own stuff, and you'll know that you're doing it right when you are assembling things. If you're not doing it right, then it's like you're buying things and things are in plastic tubs, you're heating crap up, and, you know, and you really, those are kind of mystery ingredients at best at that point. Even a meal service, let's say like Factor, okay? And Factor is something I know about because every now and then I'll eat a Factor meal. Why do I eat a Factor meal? You might be thinking, well, you just trained us on all this stuff not to eat those kind of things. Why are you eating a Factor meal, Mr. Chris? And the answer is because my girlfriend at this point in her life doesn't have the time to make kind of stuff right now. And I keep urging her, and that's fine, but she still doesn't find the time. And it's really not that hard. And she doesn't like to eat leftovers, and that's fine. But the Factor meals, you know, they are portioned correctly. They have pretty low calories and everything like that. You might be thinking it's pretty good. It's high protein, like low glycemic index, like pretty decent. You flip the thing over, it's like 40 ingredients in there. Okay. Obviously, because those meals they're made in a big place and they got to last 7 days or something like that. The best foods are going to be perishable in like 2 to 3 days, which is why a lot of times going to farmers markets are really important, because then you get goods on like a, you know, Saturday and Sunday, and then you go the very next week, right? And then you cook those goods, or you freeze them in a deep freezer or something like that. And then off you go chopping and making your own stuff. Now, I think it's this addiction that you have to have variety that really puts a lot of complication in people's lives, especially my girlfriend. And she doesn't like to eat the same thing all the time. And the honest to God truth is a lot of people that have like their energy together and their diets together and their physique looks amazing and everything like that. A lot of those people are eating a lot of the same stuff. And they know that it works because they're controlling those ingredients. And it can be as simple as like steak, asparagus, and like a baked potato. Like it's so simple sometimes if you want to reduce it to like really basic stuff. And if you weren't, let's say, a meat eater, that you could do like garbanzo beans, like some turmeric and some spices, and then you get some olive oil in there, some kale or whatever, and you keep it pretty simple. Maybe some kefir, some tofu, like maybe some seitan, like. But it can work. You can kind of make these things work. But assembling is really going to be the key sign that you're doing it right. If you cannot assemble food, and if you're having such a hard time, then yes, finding a food service that is extremely perishable is going to be your next kind of step. But I really don't suggest those things because you get a lot of mystery ingredients in those things too. Not something I would, really recommend to people. But at the end of the day, if that's all you can do, it's better than nothing. Okay, so pillar number 4, what does that look like? Pillar number 4 is basically sleep. But really, to get good sleep, you have to focus on pre-sleep, which means the hours and the hours basically before you fall asleep. And what you do in those, let's say, 3 precious hours is really going to make a huge difference on sleep. And I can say that with utmost confidence because when I measure, really bad habits on my, like let's say in the 3 hours before I go to sleep, it'll show on the Oura Ring and the data in the morning. So like at the end of the day, it's like you might be like, I don't need to like, change my sleep. I feel good. I feel rested. But like if you get the data and the data says otherwise, that's a different story. Plus, you need incredibly good sleep for your hormone, regulation, your insulin regulation, your mood, to even get that cosmic download that people talk about, on podcasts and stuff like that, to get a really good sense of readiness. Like that's actually a thing called readiness on the Oura app. Like how ready are you to attack the day? And there's a score to that thing. And there's a score to sleeping. There's a score to activity. There's a score to everything on Oura app. And I really like it a lot. Readiness, sleep, activity, heart rate, stress, and you can customize more things. Really cool app. I'm looking on my phone right now. But your pre-sleep routine is going to dictate how great your sleep is going to be. All right. So like, what do you kind of need to be doing in those 3 hours before you go to bed, or keeping like the top part of your mind? This is really important. And one is going to be probably the most important one is start reducing the amount of blue light that can go through your eyes. So if you're watching TV or you're on your cell phone, there's a lot of blue light right there. And so having blue light blocking glasses, they're typically red tinted. Like I have several pairs around the house. You start to wear that about 2 or 3 hours before you go to bed. Get used to it after a while. Things on your phone look fine. You can watch a movie on Netflix, no big deal. Everything's a little shaded, kind of like an orange hue. I find that it makes, when I go out at night, like say to put the trash cans out or to make sure that everything's good outside, or I go to my truck and come back or something, I notice that if I take my glasses off at night, like things get a little bit more bluish looking, but that's about it. Outside of that, it helps my sleep scores, absolutely, but your sleep score will not get boosted from just blue light blocking glasses. You have to also look at your food and liquid intake. So that way, with your food intake, you don't want to be having terribly crazy spicy foods, which like ramps your metabolism up. You also don't want to be having a lot of liquid, like 1 to 2 hours before you go to bed. Because at the end of the day, it's like if you wake up in the middle of the night, it's just your body has to follow these certain sequences to get back into like deep sleep and REM sleep and all that. And so if you can not wake up in the middle of the night, that is actually super preferable. But that's going to be contingent upon when you have your last meal and what kind of liquids you're taking before you go to bed. Now, the main liquid I take before I go to bed, and it's only like half a coffee cup of it, will be magnesium citrate, or it'll be like a glass of water with magnesium glycinate, like an actual tablet of it right there. Glycinate will get me really sleepy. I will use like a supplement called Calm, for example, and that's got magnesium citrate in it, right, or citrate. And I'll use that about 30 minutes before going to bed. It gets me a little sleepy. What I find gets me good sleepy is lemon balm extract and melatonin, right? So that helps a lot. It shows in the app too that helps a lot. My girlfriend, she experiments with other things, and I do too sometimes. We will have CBD every now and then, low grade THC every now and then, experiment with the app. We will have other things like kava kava, yeah, and just a bunch of random stuff, GABA. And we try different things, and we try to see on the Oura Ring, like, how it affects the sleep. But if you're lifting a lot and you're doing like all these great things for yourself and you're achieving good things, at the end of the night, like, you do need to wind down and you need to get sleep so you can actually perform like that again the very next day. So I discussed a little bit about the supplements, some of the things like blue light, the glasses, and then your food and your water intake. You kind of want to watch that as you go to bed. Obviously, light blocking curtains, no arguments before going to bed, extremely comfortable bed sheets, and a temperature set somewhere between about 68, maybe 70 degrees. All those things really help you out a lot. I'll also notice that my sleep gets really good on 1 to 3 days after I put new bed sheets on my bed and everything is nice and all the pillows are fluffed up back to normal again. Like, I'll notice that my sleep bumps up a couple points just from simple things like that. So it's kind of weird, but it is what it is. Now let's talk about pillar number 5, which is the cardio pillar. And pillar number 5 is really interesting because this is where we get into like zone 2 and zone 3 cardio. We get into like VO2 max, but in the end of the day, to really simplify it on pillar number 5 is like, you do want to do cardio and kind of as much cardio as you can. Like, it's really beneficial for you to especially do it outside. So that way your eyes can gaze really far. You don't have the incidence of maybe myopia happening because like everything we do these days, it's like on laptops and phones like this. And before we know it, we get myopic kind of, how do I say it? Like symptoms, basically. So we definitely, for every hour that you spend in front of a screen or a laptop or doing something, video calls, creating content, you do want to go outside, ground your feet, a couple of jumping jacks and do some things and, be outside, open up your eyes and gaze for like 15 minutes, about at 60 minutes of work and 15 minutes of gazing, 60 minutes of work, 15 minutes of gazing. Kind of sounds crazy, but like, that's what it takes. Every now and then, if you really feel strong enough to do about 90 minutes of highly concentrated work, then you definitely, at least get to like 90 and 15. That would be like the top end of what it takes to really achieve good breaks in your day when it comes to doing cardio. Now, cardio is interesting. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but cardio is basically the act of moving your body through space and time. You really want to do this outside, not in the gym, not on a stair stepper, not on a Jacob's ladder, not on a elliptical, or you really want to be outside. If it's as easy as walking around. And by the way, the Oura Ring will show you zone 2, zone 3 cardio, which are the most beneficial ones. It'll show you and break down all those kind of things, so long as you classify the activity correctly in the Oura app itself. But like today, for example, I did. I'll get into the Oura app. I'll go into my activity, and this is just kind of like an average day, I guess. I had a 1.3 mile walk this morning, 26 minutes, and that one was probably zone 1 the whole time. Let me make sure. Yep, zone 1. Didn't even get to zone 2. And you wouldn't really be in zone 2 because it's just walking. It was one of the very first things I did this morning. I was on a client call, nothing crazy. But then I did cycling later on in the day, around 3 o'clock in the evening, or in the afternoon. 49 minutes of cycling. Seemed like a lot shorter than that. I don't know why I recorded 49 minutes, but maybe it was 49 minutes. Did 5 miles, 281 calories burned. And most important thing is when we look at the breakdown of the zones, I was most of the time in zone 3, which is like a very resilient type zone. This is where you really build that heart muscle, and you're building for longevity. Zone 2, you're more building for fat loss, or that zone is better for fat loss. And you can kind of have a micro conversation with someone next to you, and that's kind of how you know you're in zone 2. Zone 3, it's kind of tough to have the conversation, kind of tough to recite to sing the lyrics of a song because you're really pushing. So that's pretty interesting. And I had zone 1, 9 minutes. So basically, I'm going through different zones, but a majority of my zones today and my time was in zone 3, which is super good. Yeah, so that's measured by this, right? This thing just gives me data. Data is important, right? When you're working on pillars, like if you get data, you can kind of tell what's like messing up your pillars. But cardio is good for your obviously your longevity, for your blood circulation. You're really working your heart. Okay, that's why it's called cardio, right? Makes sense. And it's basically a heart workout, and it's super important. But moving yourself through space and time also builds skill. So this is the reason why I like to ride a lot, or skateboard, or something like that, or do a hike in the woods with a weighted vest, or just to do a hike with loaded backpack. I want to be moving my body through space and time. I don't want to be in some dark dungeon of a gym banging out cardio and I'm looking at some stupid screen with a little triangle that's going around a racetrack. Like, this is really boring stuff. Like, you got to think about the existence of human beings. Like, does it really come down to this? This is what it comes down to? No, what it comes down to is being vibrant, being outside, being in the sunlight. You know, in the heat of summertime, I'll skimp. I'll have like the shortest shorts on. I'll go on my cardio run, backwards hat, boom. I'm like cardio session, not run. I don't really run. But yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I skimp out, get a lot of sun on my body. In the wintertime, it's like 30 degrees. I'm like, oh, got to do a cardio session. Boom, down jacket on, you know, maybe a balaclava kind of thing to like protect my mouth. You know, like a thing for your head. I got some windproof gloves. I even have leather gloves that completely block out everything. So I have all the means to do cardio outside. And it's because I really detest doing cardio inside. I don't think anybody should be doing inside cardio unless it's like completely inclement and crazy weather. Then yes, it's better than nothing. But you should be outside, right? It builds you to be a very resilient individual, to be out there and, you know, grinding it out. And at the end of the day, you're going to realize a couple things. And one of those things is, well, yeah, you're more resilient than being the gym person. But the second thing that you're going to notice is that your incidence of having like eye strain or anything like that's going to be like greatly reduced because you don't have some screen in front of you like you do in a gym. So those are the 5 pillars right there. We had like basically mental fortitude is number 1. Number 2 is going to be working out, or basically strength workouts. Number 3 is going to be whole foods in the form of a diet. Number 4 is going to be sleep, and number 5 is going to be cardio. Now, if I have your attention to this point, at this point right now, I have a link to the system called the Radical 50. And the Radical 50 basically is a celebration of doing these 5 pillars for 50 days, right? So every single of the 50 days, we're not working on all the pillars, but we're working on a bunch of the pillars every single day. We're just not necessarily always working on all of them, right? There's some days that have the routine and there's some that don't. There's some days that have workouts and some that don't. There's, I think, a 3 to a 5 like cardio kind of like suggestion in there. So obviously that implies that there'd be somewhere between maybe 4 and 2 days where you don't do cardio, for example. And there's a lot of sleep tips in there. There's a lot of just, you know, diet stuff. And we're going to be in a private Facebook group beta testing this together. And then once it's all good, it's like that actual Radical 50 will be a program that I stand behind and have done it many times, you know, but I'll do it again through the beta group. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I see my main goal out of this really is to lead people through the program, first of all, and there'll be there'll be a very direct connection for the people that are in that group with me and my business partner, Steve. And he's going to be doing it too. But the other thing is you're going to start to realize like this like awakened kind of giant inside of yourself going like, wow, like I can do this. And it's really not that hard, but I can do this. I'm capable of these big things. Like, what next, you know? And so the answer to that, what next, truly is the Radical Life, right? And so that's going to be another Facebook group, different behind the scenes. But the Radical 50 is kind of an introduction into the actual pillars and how you can really make it work for yourself and start learning that life is not really about, you know, chasing money, going to like beer taverns and watching sports and, you know, spending your money on rims and stupid things. It's more about how you feel every day, and are you achieving the goals that you want for yourself, whether that be physical goals of like a love interest related kind of thing, feeling more confident, maybe you want to be more well-spoken or respected. It's going to be basically, you know, the people that have achieved high amounts of those things are almost always working on those things, and they're not just good at it because, you know, they were given that gift. Like this, the greatest thing about these pillars is like, you can't just get it randomly. Like I could play the lottery today at a convenience store and I could literally be a millionaire tomorrow. I could, like a millionaire tomorrow based upon one piece of paper with some randomly generated numbers, right? But the thing about the pillars that's interesting is like, you'll never meet somebody in their life that has all their stuff together that wasn't working on these pillars in some which way, fashion, form, almost on a daily or weekly kind of like, kind of like focus, right? And so that's what's really interesting about it. You have to only earn it. It can't be given to you. And at the end of the day, it's like you get around people that have done things like this, and they just seem more alive. They feel more vibrant. They have insight. They know when to pause. It seems like they've taken care of their traumas better than most people. They're not addicted to weird things. In fact, they're addicted to really good things, you know? And I think that that's really important. And it's something that I want to teach people how to do, because how you kind of go through your day is going to be how you kind of view yourself through life. And life is really about value. It's like, how much value can you give to other people? How, you know, if you raise your vibration, could you raise the vibration of your kids or your loved ones? Could you perhaps, you know, start looking at money differently and buy a house? Like, can you, you know, perhaps enter into that 5K or something, or maybe run a half marathon because, you know, you weren't able to before because you had some knee pains, but all of a sudden you start looking at physical fitness a little differently. You start incorporating some things, and all of a sudden your pains go away. You get new pains though, but it's okay. Like, it's not, these aren't chronic kind of things. You're basically taking out the chronic stupid things in life that grace a lot of people. And you're going like, not for me, you know, like, I want to have a life that I feel more in control with, and I want to feel what it feels like to be vibrant and good, and like the world is like your oyster, you know what I'm saying? So that's what that's what the Radical 50 is going to start to show you, is like how to practice that in a very kind of detuned fashion. And then the Celebration of Radical Life itself, the company that I'm building with Steve, my business partner, is the radical practice of the whole thing all the time. So that's what it is. Let me go get the link to Radical 50. If you're lucky enough to get on this beta program, then sign up. And in a couple of weeks, we will open up that group. Let me get back to my show here. This is the link. If you're in the show right now, and if you catch it later, I mean, we'll see. I'm going to open it to some more people, but I don't know. Like right now, we're just looking for 10 beta people to check out the link and sign up and get in there. I think there's, at this point, I think there's 7 slots left as of yesterday. So, and I haven't been doing many shows about it and talking about it. So if this sounds of something of interest to you, and remember, at the end of the day, any amount of focus on these 5 pillars is going to be better than like doing nothing. But the problem with that is that you tend to get this wheel spinning kind of effect. You're like, oh man, I'm in the gym and I'm working out, but it's like, it's not coming together. Like, what's going on? You realize, oh, you're not really focusing on the other 4 pillars, dude. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, maybe you are a woman, right? And let's say you incorporated just a basic pillar of movement. You're like, I'm going to do 20K steps a day. And then you go from like 280 pounds to like 200, but you still don't feel great about yourself. And you know, and you don't know what to tell people when they inquire about your journey, other than like, you've done these great steps and everything like that. And I think it might be the food that I'm eating or whatever. I think it's important to look at the pillars as like an actual overall solution to kind of supercharging yourself in that right direction, right? Because at the end of the day, you could go really slowly in that direction. But the problem is life is full of retracements and full of hits and crazy hits. And I think most people that are 30 plus that are probably watching this are going to be like, yeah, you know, you can't wait anymore. Waiting is what got you here in this spot right now. And things don't seem like they're working, right? So waiting is not really the solution. The solution is to take action on 5 fronts. Okay. So I hope this was of great value to you, the show. And even if the show is not live, please check out that link. I'll make sure it's on the actual description of the video. And yeah, if the link closes out, it closes out. But, you know, I had a lot of fun hanging out with y'all. If you had any questions or anything like that, I could stick around for about 5 minutes. I can answer some questions, but I want to shout out people that have been here. We got TJ Keller, OGC. We have Barbara Hun, probably some other people in the background that didn't make any comments or anything like that. But I am here for 5 minutes. And when we look at, like, let's say the pillars today that I really scored hard on and I did really well, definitely my cardio pillar was pretty cool. I like that one. And I'm just sitting here monitoring this thing on my app, but I like that one a lot because I was riding today on a bike that was not exactly very efficient, right? So it's a heavier type bike. I was just testing it out, making sure it's all good and everything. But I rode on that bike and I got basically better heart zones than riding my easier bike, which I like to ride a lot because it goes super fast. But then I'm like, I don't know how to explain it other than you got to vary things up, right? And data is data. Like when I get on that other bike that's really fast, and it's not electrified or anything like that, I'm just really fast on it, you know. I'll get some half zone 1 and half zone 2 cardio, which is still good, better than nothing, right? But today I got a load of zone 3 cardio, which is like that good longevity zone, the one that really makes your heart work. I got a lot of that, which is crazy. I got more zone 3 than I had zone 1 or 2 today. So that was cool. And I like that. What else on the pillars today that I excel on? I ripped the breathing device exercise multiple times today, which was cool, on the Camuso Shift, which I am an affiliate for. But that's for another video. But yeah, so I had some breathing stuff in the morning. It wasn't a day that I did my morning routine. I actually did different things this morning to catch up for the day because I realized I was going to do the show and some other things. So what else did I succeed on today? Oh yeah. Diet was like on point. I assembled an incredible first meal, which I tout a lot on the Boddam channel and on Boddam Instagram. If you see my first meal, it's almost always in the sunlight. It was a cloudy day today, but whatever. Still had a crazy good meal with 3 glasses of like immunity drink, which was awesome. My snack was mangoes and organic mangoes, organic banana, Sun Warrior protein. So good, you know, very filling. And then my actual dinner tonight's going to be, I was going to assemble that crock pot meal and do that, but then I realized the show is going to take a little bit more time than expected. So I'm going to slate that for tomorrow, and I'm going to have some organic meatballs that are chicken, that have some pineapple in them and stuff like that. And then I'm going to put that with some wild honey on top of a sweet potato or 2 with some grass-fed butter on top, and I'm going to have a little bit of hot sauce on top of that. Absolutely fantastic meal. So I know I'm going to succeed with the diet. The pre-sleep routine, last night's sleep was 80, so that was good. 80 out of 100. My girlfriend's getting sleep scores in the 85s to like 93s, which is crazy good. So I'm trying to, you know, we're experimenting a lot of things together and everything. We do sleep in the same bed and all that, with a dog in the middle too. I just have a much more vigorous kind of lifestyle, or a lifestyle that has a lot more moving parts than just hers, which is like a 3-day kind of like job commitment kind of thing. And then she has 4 days off. It's kind of like a nurse, kind of like a firefighter. But she works really hard for 3 days and then she has 4 days off. So, I mean, if I did that in my life, I know my sleep scores would be like really good, but I just don't think I'm in the state of my capabilities to even do that. I discussed this with her yesterday. I was like, you know, even if I had the chance of doing 3 days of like the hardest work ever and then having 4 days off, like I wouldn't do it. I just like chasing after stuff and like building things, and like the Radical 50 thing. I just like building things and helping people out. It's a lot of fun. I like being active and dynamic. It's very tough for me to kind of sit and chill. My readiness score was 82, so that's good. It means like my sleep was 80. And the sleep, the only actual part that it told me that I could improve on was like my super deep sleep. But that was still pretty good. An 80 score of sleep is amazing. My readiness is 82. The other day was like 90. My sleep score yesterday was, or the day before yesterday was 77. So we're trending kind of upwards. And my stress is, you know, controllable, which is good. My activity is at a 98%, which almost always got the King logo on top, meaning like I almost always succeed on my activity levels all the time because I have workouts and I have cardio. But amazing day. And I felt good last night. I didn't even use the restroom once. So I had some pretty decent sleep. Before going to bed last night, I had the magnesium citrate drink without honey. So I'm experimenting different things. And then I had 2 gummies that were Ollie Sleep Max. So they have about 5 to 10 milligrams of melatonin, some lemon balm, and some chamomile. That's pretty much it. I like them. And it's affordable. You know, you can find them in any store. It's called OLLY, Ollie. So I like that. You know, I would say when it comes to the pillars of today, like it was a pretty good day. So, you know, and I can reflect at the end of the night. This is where we are right now, by the way. It's not shot in the beginning of the day or anything, but I'm reflecting on the day and I'm like, I feel accomplished. I feel good. I got a lot of things done today, right? And was there something bad that happened today? Actually, there was, but I won't discuss it on the video because it's kind of like irrelevant. But yeah, it's something that's pending. My truck does need to go back into the shop for something stupid. And it's just something that's pending on my mind because it's like an open invoice. I'm like, I don't know what it's going to be this time. Like, I don't know what's going on. You know, I think squirrels chewed through a lot of my stuff and it's just, yeah, it's going to get a little expensive tomorrow. But you know, at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, that's uncontrollable stuff. What can I control? Let me knock that out because really tomorrow hasn't happened. Might not be as serious as I thought. Maybe Toyota will hook me up with like a discount or something. at the end of the day, it's like, it's all good. I did get the really good stuff done today. Amazing workout this morning. So we're good. But I hope to see you on the Radical 50 thing. Check out that link. Please sign up. And, enough talking about me. If you had a lot of fun, like TJ Keller did, awesome video, then thank you very much. We could do more of these kind of shows. If you want more of these kind of shows, then just hit me up on IG and just tell me to do them, and I'll do them. All right. So I'll see you on the next one. Take it.